Hi everybody. A blessed sound to all of you. I want to start off by warning you a little bit about this video. I have to confess I have never done a video before, so I'm not exactly sure how it's going to turn out. It's a little weird because there's nobody there to talk to. I'm just talking to my computer monitor, and that's strange because it could end up just being very boring. But anyway, we're going to try this out. You have a handout that is both in English and Portuguese to help you with this. It won't be exactly what I'm saying because I'm off the cuff a little bit, and I'm not reading to you from that handout, but it will contain all the information that I have to say. I also need to warn you a little bit about there's a dog and a couple of cats here in my apartment with me, and I don't have any control over their behavior. You may hear meowing. The dog may even bark. We just kind of have to live with it. Some things you just can't turn off. And I also want to explain to you about you might be seeing purple in my eyes. I have purple frames on my glasses, and regardless of whether it's daytime or nighttime, if there's a light shining on me, you're going to see purple eyes. So that's just what it is also. So let's get started. My talk tonight is about the art of becoming. I believe that the art of becoming is one of the most important things that you can do in your magical practice. Let's talk about when you cast your circle. You call in the elements, and really, in fact, you're not calling in the elements because they're already there. They're all the way around you. They're everywhere, above, below. We are in the midst of all the elements all the time. So when we call in the elements, we're acknowledging their presence. But if we really want to feel their presence, we have to know what they feel like. We have to become them in our circle, because it is us that must feel them and be them. So the first thing I have my students do when they work with me is to study the elements. I let them take them in the season: fire in the summer, water in the fall, earth in the winter, and air in the spring. I ask them to identify them by sight, by sound, by taste, to hear them and to feel them, and then embody them. I ask them to sit with plants, to sit under trees and listen to their stories, journey with them, meditate with them, hold the stones in their hands and feel what those stones have to say to them. Burn herbs. See how you're affected when you're burning herbs. Don't rely always on what the book has to say, because that's just somebody else's opinion. If you're going to use herbs in your circle, you need to know how you're affected by them. Now, while you're doing all of this, you want to be sure to record it all, because if you're like me, you're not going to remember everything. Let's say you want to learn how to aspect a god or a goddess. Well, you need to know what that god or goddess feel like. You need to study them. You need to meditate with them. Ask them to become part of you. And when you do that, then you can become them. In my book, Anabila, which means the spirit of trees, you are asked to study trees and use the energy of trees in healing practices. So you have to become the energy of those trees. Let's look at what happens. Let's say an indigenous person dances an animal. He isn't pretending. He's actually becoming that animal. When an artist paints, he knows his subject 100%. He has become that subject. An actor or a dancer, when they portray a character, they must be that character. So it is in a magical practice. To manifest our desire, we have to become our desire. We must see it, feel it, taste it, be it. So for a moment, let's look at some mythology. Take the goddess Frigga, for instance. Frigga sits in her hall. She spins thread for the Norns, and this thread is to weave into a giant tapestry of life. She never reveals what is in those threads that she spins. But if you come to know her, if you tell her of your dreams, if you ask her to spin them into the thread of your life, she might do that if she will. So Frigga's thread is the substance of becoming. We can ask for her thread. Once we have it, we can tape it, shake it, take it, shape it, and manifest what is to come in our lives. The same can be said with Verdandi, who is one of the Norns. Her name means being and becoming. If you're familiar with the story of how the Gaels settled Ireland, you will have heard of a Mergen who was the son of Mill, a druid of the Milesians. One of the ways that druids worked their magic was becoming. They actually changed reality. They took on the shape and transformed into animals, growing larger or even disappearing. This classic example of what this is from the Song of a Mergen, spoken by a Mergen who aided the Gaels in defeating the Tuatha De Danann. Let me read his song, which is called The Mystery. I am a stag of 7 times. I am a wide flood on the plain. I am a wind on the deep waters. I am a shining tear of the sun. I am a hawk on the cliff. I am fair among flowers. I am a god who sets the head afire with smoke. I am a battle-waging spear. I am a salmon in a pool. I am a hill of poetry. I am a ruthless boar. I am a threatening noise of the sea. I am a wave on the sea. Who but I know the secrets of the unhewn dolmen? I am the womb of every hope. I am the blaze of every hill. I am the queen of every hive. I am the shield for every head. I am the tomb for every hope. Mergen is not just speaking of all of these experiences. He first had to become them. Because of this, he could harness the powers of the land of Ireland and claim it for the Gaels. Mergen's words were his imbus, his act of becoming. As he stepped upon the shores of Ireland, after the Gaels had overcome the winds raised by the De Danann, he claimed the elements of Ireland for himself and his people. This is just one example of how a druid would work. Let me read another quote from mythology. I am Manannán, son of Lair, king of the land of promise, and to see the land of promise was the reason I brought thee hither. The fountain which thou sawest, with the 5 streams out of it, is the fountain of knowledge, and the streams are the 5 senses through which knowledge is obtained. And no one will have knowledge who drinketh not a draught out of the fountain itself and out of the 5 streams. The salmon of knowledge is also the salmon of wisdom, whose home is the Well of Shish. The Well of Shish is the otherworld source of the Boina. It is a deep pool surrounded by the 9 hazels of inspiration. The hazelnuts ripen and fall into the pool where the salmon eats them. She cracks their shells, which stain the waters of the well purple. The empty shells float off down the 5 streams that flow from the Well of Shish. The 5 streams are the 5 senses through which we perceive the world. It is said that one may never be wise until one has drunk from the Well of Shish and from each of the 5 streams. From this I know that I must experience through all of who I am, through all of my senses, which must be open. These 5 senses are seeing, hearing, touching, feeling and smelling. I said that wrong. These 5 senses are seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, and smelling. Another pool, the Well of Conla, like the Well of Shish, those senses would be seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, speaking, and thinking. It is through our senses that we learn to become. I wish to offer you one parting gift. I want you to close your eyes and see me standing before you. I have my hands over your head, touching the top of your head. I move my hands over your head and on your face and say to you, these are the senses we have abandoned. I place my thumbs to your eyes and say, to see with acuity. I now place the palms of my hands over your ears and to say, to hear with clarity. I brush your lips with my fingers and say, to taste with purity. I lightly brush your nose with my fingers and say, to smell with intensity. I now run my hands down your arms to your hands and say, to touch with sensitivity. I now place my hands over your third eye and say, you are her child. She opens your third eye that you may be gifted with her sight. Blessed be. While it is important to read, to study, and to learn all that you can, it is also vitally important that you spend as much time as you can learning how to be all the things you might want to use in your magical or healing practice. You can do magic all day long. You can do magic in ritual, but unless you become those things that you invite into your circle, or those things you wish to manifest with your magic, or those gods and goddesses you wish to work with, you must become them. Many blessings, my friends. I hope to see you next June at the Wiccan Conference, or maybe in Brasilia, where I will travel to visit with Ma Vesper after the conference. My workshop at the conference will be on the Celtic cosmology, the Om and Anabila. I've not decided yet what my workshop in Brasilia is going to be. I hope to see you there. Obrigado. Beijos. Beijos para todos. Muito amor para você.